So we have a couple of errors where we left off. If you look over here in my networking folder, you can see that I have these five different projects in here. I have an asynchronous TCP server I wrote, an asynchronous server. This is the one that we're using on this project. If you look at the interface, really simple. Stop, dispose, send. I wonder why dispose is on here. It should be on core. Send a server, start, and is connected. And then on core, you just have your events and then the socket. On the newest one, which is here, TCP.NET 4.5, this is the same thing, except for instead of passing back bools, it sends back tasks. And instead of sending back sockets, it sends back those wrapped TCP clients. We're not going to implement this one today, but these are really easy. We'll write a test app for it. We're going to stay with the one that we're currently at. This is the WebSocket that we were working with before, the behaviors and everything. If you look in here at behavior, under WebSocket behavior, our problem was right here. Originally this said .send, but if we're going to broadcast this message to all, we have to make sure that we're doing it for all sessions, because if we're doing if we're just doing simply the send command, that's only going to send that right back to the computer that sent it to it. TPL? What does TPL mean? Oh, no music, says Serializer. We're doing music between 9 and 10 a.m. So let's go ahead and start to fix these. We have just a few errors in here because I changed the namespaces here in the assemblies to match all my networking stuff. So these are pretty easy to fix. We're just going to implement our async. We don't want the one that's 45. Easy enough. And down here, this one looks like we have to also get rid of that. Okay, easy enough. Next one. We just have a few of these namespaces to adjust. This one here. My favorite one is this one, this recursive client server. And I believe that this is the fastest one that I have in the bag. This thing, it's kind of older. It's kind of an older setup. And if you look at it, it has this is the wrong one. And if you look at it, it has a mutex in it. So you're doing manual thread management. It has an asynchronous event stack, which represents your socket pool. And when you get a connection in here, it's just going to sit here and wait for start accept async. But notice again, just like WebSocket sharp, this is returning void. And it just sits here and waits. And if it does, it has a callback, which then locks my connections, fires a new connection event, and then starts to receive on it. So they're all kind of doing the same thing, but this one has a state which you're passing. And the reason why this is faster is that whenever you get a connection coming in, it reuses these stacks. It doesn't make a new one. So if you have a lot of connections coming in and you're using something like TCP client, TCP listener, it's going to be creating a new one of those. Well, let's look. If you look over here, every time you get a connection on TCP server, it creates a new TCP client. All right. So that's pretty heavyweight a little bit. And if you look at the one that we're using, every time that we get a connection, we get a, where is it? It's an IAR async result, something. AI asynchronous result called AR. Oh, the task parallel library. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Microsoft tasks are from there, I believe. It's a Microsoft library. Yeah. I was reading about that a lot more this weekend because inside of that library, you can manage all the different tasks that you have running. So I like this new one, the one that I was writing yesterday. And the reason why is that I can use the same class for my client and my server. So right here, I can just instantiate my version of my TCP client class. What's really nice is I end up with one object that I can put all the properties, including authorization and identity information. And then here, so what I have is I have one loop, which is running in an open await async, which is looking for connections. And then I have another thread that opens when a connection is established here, which starts to read messages from that. And then that thread closes when the connection is done. So you end up with one thread per connection. And I think this one might actually be faster. Let's finish this up. Easy. TCP networking events. 30. See, it's moving pretty quick. TCP events async. I think that one. Almost done. We're just removing and changing this because I changed the name of the assembly. Depends on the amount of connections, too many threads, and you have time contentions. If you have too many connections coming in, yeah. So if you have too many connections coming in that are disconnecting, I think the recursive server is going to be faster because you'll be reusing that object. Because you're right, creating a thread is heavy. And we'll do a couple of benchmark tests on that, but I want to get this proof of concept up. We're actually getting really close with it now. Taking it easy. Here we go. Change the name here. Using networking WebSocket, WebSocket sharp events. Using the enums. This one should go away. This is the wrong one, right? I think it's called connected now. And I think that probably is the last one here. Let's go ahead and debug. Not just heavy, but having too many threads. There's a switch overhead on system level, and then they will never run just because it switches between them. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be... I guess this is getting too low level for me. But you're right. So I'm probably going to end up using that recursive one is what I'm thinking. And I think they ramped it in 4.5 just to make it simpler. Okay, a few more here. This one is the first one. We need to add a reference here. And this is on the program, so this is the top level. We'll add our behavior. Taking it easy. WebSocket service model. There's that one, and then there's probably a couple more here. Now, base Args is going to have a whole bunch of different ones that it's linked to. So I want to go back, because we want this one to be my networking dot WebSockets dot WebSocket sharp dot events, like that. This one here is the same thing. Like that. Almost done here. And this one here. And we want to do this as events. And the reason we have to do all these extra namespaces on these is because they are the same. And then we need to change this one here. See? Almost done. Almost there. This one's the one up here. And we're going to add all these to the top just to make sure that we can't save something. That looks good. And this one's enums. almost there. Last one of the last ones here. Okay, let's go back over here real quick. I want to pull this up here because I don't know what's in the namespaces. So we'll just do it manually. And I believe that a lot of this is happening because and let's do enums. Yeah, see, it's going to have, because we're using them between classes, that should work. Okay, and this one here. This one is my connection args from core. It's not from core, it's from my networking dot WebSocket. Oh, TCP dot asynchronous dot events a. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then finally, 2 more. This one's easy. And I think this is probably the last one here. Let's go ahead and rebuild. Task use threads, but it manages the size of the pool. They can pull from pretty effectively depending on your system. So yeah. Task parallel library. Pull. Oh yeah, but for the size of the pull. Oh, they can pull pretty effectively. I'm with you. Let it build. Okay, everything ran. So let's go ahead and start our project. The ones that we want to start are we have something here called test client. We'll look at that. Not WebSocket, not WebSocket Sharp. These are just libraries. We have a console app. We don't want to start that one yet. We have the MVC. We'll say that we want to start that one. We have allie.chat. We want to start that one. Where are the web APIs? We have the web API internal. We'll start this one, and then we need our identity server. I don't see that one. Hold on. There it is, identity server. We need to start that one. So let's go ahead and start our project. Okay, over here, you can see allie.chat's running. Oh, before I go too far, I need to actually look to see, because I made some modifications and commented some stuff out, I believe, right? If I look here in my program where I'm starting it, we don't need that crap. Here, this is where I'm doing, okay, so I have another issue where I fired an event from the hub, and that doesn't work because every single time I get a connection coming in, it creates an instance of that hub. So that event is going to fail every time. So we need to remove that event and probably have it hit a static method, although I kind of hate that. So we'll think about a solution to this, but I don't really necessarily need anything outside of routing, and I could probably just inject into my WebSocket hub. I could probably just do that. But you usually don't start up threads dynamically unless using languages mating for creating lots of threads and destroying them. Well, the thing about using TCP listen or TCP client with their 4.5 version thing that we were showing before, that is their Microsoft's new preferred modality. So while there is things to be said about definitely performance differences and then changes over time, also maintaining and learning the new technologies are also important as well. So that's why in the end we've ended up with this list of, where did that go, under resources? That's why I ended up here with 4 different servers at the moment. This again is my favorite one. Okay. So here we're starting our WebSocket, right? We have a new behavior. And here I'm saying that these 2 events, let's get rid of these events. So we have a WebSocket and we're creating a behavior and then we're starting it down here. when we start this, it's going to add that service and then start WebSocket sharp. Pardon me. Here, when you get a all clients and service here, you're going to try to get out this service out of what you have already had created. We got to see if this thing works. And then you have add service, and we know that this one's working fine. Now, I don't believe it's actively passing in this. We're going to check that. So let's go check out our behavior. I guess we'll look at in here. My behavior chat is an implementation of base WebSocket behavior, which has in it broadcast and broadcast all. Here, this is what I was talking about with WebSocket sharp making me unhappy. I don't get to necessarily wait on individual messages. I have to wait and then use this callback. So I'll have to maintain state in another object in here. And that immediately makes me go and go, ugh. So for me, what I really want to do is just change these over to a task. And then below it, I'll add an await. So that way I can scale onto this for the next one. I guess it depends on what kind of connections. Like server to server would be fine, but clients to server would be bad if many users use it. Exactly. Exactly. So that's exactly what I'm thinking. So 4.6, you've said it better than me. 4.6, I think it's made for simplicity, and I could definitely see it being used for server to server communication if you weren't interested in using something like SignalR for your data transport layer. But that's why if you look up like asynchronous, and then if you look up highest performance C# servers and just kind of look at the research that other people have put out there on the internet, the recursive server comes out to be the highest efficiency one, because it realistically is only reusing each of those objects, those state objects, instead of creating new ones. Okay, we're going to go ahead and call this a task. We'll call this one a task. We want to make both of these asynchronous. I guess we'll do the same thing here. No, we don't care about that. And then here we can just do a await task.from result, and then we'll call that up an object of type null. Like that. So here on open, on close, on message. So when you're doing on message, you're receiving this thing called Args, and then you're invoking this event. We're going to get check here when this happens. And now here, this thing you're saying is a await, so you could do a tasks.run, and it's going to be an asynchronous, and the task is and then we'll run our on message base message. Okay, so let's go ahead. That looks good. And now I think it's my test client. This one has a thread on it, and we are looking to start a worker thread, which is running a WebSocket client. So down here, we're just running it, connecting to test. And then on our event, when we get a message event, we're saying that we get something that says message received. And do I have anything in here to send messages? I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to send it here. So now we can say right here, we're going to make like a if client dot is connected. I don't know if you could say listening. What is this thing? It's just called a WebSocket client. So can't you expose something on here for that called like is connected? Public pool is connected. And then you want to get, and you want to return my client dot connected is connected. State is alive. I think we want that one. We're going to check. We're going to look for, let me move this over here. We want to look for WebSocket sharp, C#, check if connection, check if listening. Set keep server alive. Writing a WebSocket. Determine if a server is listening on the WebSocket C# listener as a service. Screw that. I think it's going to be it's alive. That would be my guess too. So if it's connected, then what you want to do is console.writeLine. The client is listening. The WebSocket is connected to the server. Type anything to send it. Like that. Okay, just a little notice there for us. That looks pretty good. Let's run it. Okay, so here, when it's creating this first one, it is in fact creating the instance. And now for each one of the services, that looks fine. We're going to go ahead and run the test client as well. Press the any key to start the server. I see ESC. I see Kataro. I don't see any key. Oh, this work is making me thirsty. I could use a tab. Oh wait, no time for that. Work starting. Why isn't this thing spun up yet? Come on. Why aren't you kicking through? I see everything else kicked through. Is my server not started? Or do you not have it saying when it starts? You don't have a thing up here for connection event. I guess I don't have that up there as a connection event. I think I have it as a WebSocket event. So we could do this one. Two, three. Need to press any key. I see asking with Carl. It's a TV show. I was drawing, seeing if anyone's going to pull it up. Okay, I don't think I put anything in there that says when this thing is starting. On WebSocket sharp event. But this is my test client, so we don't care about that one. It's this one here. And I wanted to make sure that we had something in here that said that it was listening. So it's going to start. And this is where we should be listening. Let's try it one more time. Hey there, it says, how do I say that? Java6, Java6. Welcome back. How's the project allie.chat going? It's going great. Actually, we have most all of the modules in, and we have to still do our routing module, which will take our WebSocket and our TCP socket server that we've created, and then also the bot that we created in Twitch, which parses messages, and then the one in Discord. And at that point, it's going to route all the messages to the different streams, which we have set up on our front end. Front end needs to be cleaned up a little bit. And I think the identity server needs to have just a little bit of work to make sure that our authorization is working correctly. And then I think we're ready to put the proof of concept up. So I'd say smooth, except for that this thing is just not wanting to connect or something. It seems like it's not even firing. I'm going to try it again. So here, we're going to start. I don't care about this one. Now we're going to start the services here. You're going to add it. You're going to start the service. It looks good. So it never fired my... That's fine. It's running. It just never is telling me. So we can check the test client if we run that. Now it says press any key. It's going to be connected. Fascinating. Oh, it's not any key. This is a read key. Oh, I can just do this, right? Try it again. Good, great, good progress so far. Yeah, it's going pretty smoothly. I'm a little irritated. I gotta go back into the let's try to. I'm gonna try to get rid of this one here. I'm gonna try to change the events. I'm a little bit irritated that I have to go back into the identity server. So I found another implementation of it with already has the identity admin UI on it. I'm thinking about adding that. Let's go ahead and I wanted to go to debug and I wanted to clear all my breakpoints. And then let's try it one more time. Exclamation point, serializer, what's going on? Press any key to start the server. It's connected. Okay, so here, it looks like that a bunch of it worked. You can see that we did receive our test message so that things are connected, and now it says that we can't cast my message event types to connection event args. So somewhere in here, you're using the wrong object. That's an easy fix. We could probably just get it here. I'm pretty sure it was this one. Try it again. Alrighty, enjoy that coffee. Wait for it to load. Start the server, we're connected. Same issue here. Connection event args, invalid cast, networking to @program on WebSocket sharp event in Pixel Horror Studios line 57. So this one says that it's failing here. So if I take out these events, I'm going to try to get that event to fire from the hub. And then we'll run our test client. Same issue here. Interesting. Anomalous cast type of to object type at on WebSocket in fire WebSocket event base args and Visual Studio WebSocket sharp core line 17 on message event. So let's just track it over here in your hub, which is in here. When you get a message, here. Let's check what happens. We're going to look at there, and then we want to check this one here. See how we have send here, or test? Test? I wonder what that's about. Anyways. Run our test. And we'll start the server. We're connected. Now we're going to pass this message over. That seemed to work okay. Here, you want to broadcast your message. That looks fine. I didn't see it. Was it the event? I think it was the event. We don't need that. Where was it? Where was it? This needs to be a task of type rule. And we'll make it an asynchronous. ACSY, like that. So where was it? Add service. I don't care there. It was the behavior. On message. Let's try to get rid of this one for a second. And now we need to change. We don't care about that one. And this one needs to implement this. It does not send message all clients in service. This is a task. Cool. And this is, again, prepping us for when we're ready to move this over to our own WebSocket class. And now we can run it. All right, welcome back there, serializer. What kind of food you get? Okay, it started. We're going to test the client. Same issue. So it's not from here. So let's look up here in the WebSocket server. I think we are firing events in here somewhere. Fire WebSocket event here on WebSocket behavior event. Was it here? I think it's that one. Try it again. Rye bread with stuffs on it. I like rye bread with tuna, but I don't like mayonnaise, so just tuna. Okay, let's run the client. I'm going to add it to the multiple projects so I don't have to keep debug starting it each time. Did it work? No, same issue. Refined it. Let's go ahead and add this here to test client. Okay, so if I stop broadcasting, let's try that time. How are you guys doing today? In case you don't know, all the videos for this project, as well as from the very beginning of it to now, are up at youtube.com/c/liverdevtrying. So make sure you check those out. There, so that worked. So it is from the broadcast. So here, when you're doing broadcast message all, let's change this to be asynchronous. And then we look at it here. Interesting. This should be void. And this one shouldn't be like that, because this is the asynchronous one. So let me add that one back. If I come back over here into the server, where was it? It was in the behavior, right? Up here, can't you? Because this is already asynchronous. No, this is an on message, so you are going to fire this. Okay, so is it actually on the client when you're receiving the message? It might be. So let's check out here on the worker thread. We can uncomment this. And if we were to get rid of this one, and then this one, and we wanted to look at what we're returning, let's try that. Now I'm hungry. Serializer, good job. I don't know. Wait, there's a bunch of stuff in there. Salami, and a thing we called, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's kind of sausage, but it's rolled thin with herbs and stuff. Don't know what it's called in English. Sure, if you have a word for it. Serializer. I don't know. I haven't heard of it, but maybe I'm wrong. Somebody probably knows. This is a connection event args, and that would be here. So connection event types. That one's fine. This one is a connection, and now this next one is a here we go. It's a connection. So when this is coming in and it's passing across this message, args type equals message. Stupid. That was it. We can get rid of this one here. And then we can take a look here again. And now we can uncomment 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And let's change this one here. So now when you're connected, at the moment you're telling it to do a client send all messages here. I want to see if that's working, because I'm not ever receiving test messages, am I? I don't think this one's working. We're going to try it. Sure. Okay, what happens here? When this runs, we're doing a send. See that? Send message to all clients and behavior. This is the other error. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. Oh, I think I've had something like that. I think we call them hors d'oeuvres. When you look at your on message event, this is on your client. And this is firing your event to say that you received a message. You're writing the message here. So maybe if you get rid of this one, because I wonder if on your program here, this is your client, right? Yep. If you look at when you're getting a message, it should be say message received, because that would be if your event is firing, and I don't think it is. And that's what we're going to check. And then here, this one is a send. Now, isn't there something in here called like a broadcast? I don't know. We'll try this one. Send message to everybody in the behavior. Let's try it again. And I want to check on the server. I want to see if what it's being hit. So we'll look at the behavior for when the message is coming in. Hors d'oeuvres are small snacks. That's like a big thing. You cut it in slim slices, put on bread. Oh, hors d'oeuvres. It's like a big thing. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, it seems like a bigger one. Here we go. Let's see. Is it running? Okay, here we go. On this one, we're saying that we want to go ahead and hit this. We got our message coming in, which is test message. So it is in fact arriving on my behavior. Then we're going to respond with it. And it looks like in the client, still the same problem. Connection event args. But you're sending this back here as a message. So back over here, if you're sending this message as a test message, then I want to look back over on the client and I want to see when we're receiving a message. Because here, args type equals message. Little bits of debugging here to get this thing resolved. Okay, let's go ahead and start the server. That's fixed, and now we can do, is the echo working? And now you can see that, in fact, we are sending messages and then it's echoing successfully. They are successfully sending and receiving. Okay. So this one's working, and we are definitely firing our events here and receiving them where we want. This is our stupid callback, which I hate. Now I wanted to see if you were able to call this server when you receive a message here. And this is in your base WebSocket behavior. So you want to see if in fact you get a server, and then if you do, you want to also see about your event, because you should be firing an event and capturing it in your program up here. So this is your WebSocket server. Let's try this one first, and then we'll try this one. We're gonna see if we ever get this thing to fire. Which I hate. Don't hate, man. What are you talking about? What did I say I hated? I try not to hate, I think. What did I say? Sorry. Client's connected. There it is. Okay, so it's never firing at the moment. So if I look back over here on the program, we're going to uncomment the other one now. See if that helps. Because if it doesn't help, then we're going to have to do it with probably we can try the reference next. Where is it? Let's look here. And here. It's up here. We want this one. Oh, the callback. Yeah, I actually might. I don't know. I don't like 3.5 that much for their asynchronous style. I really like async await. Okay, now we're going to try it again. So still no message, which is fine. And now if I look over here, I wanted to see, are we able to get a server? It's saying that server is null. Now, isn't there a way to do a... Okay, I'm going to pull this over here for a second. I'm going to try a trick. If I look at my program here, it should have something right here. Global Host Connection Manager. Oh, crap. So let me look back again. So we can get rid of this one and this one, because those are definitely not working at all. Because these are never firing at all. And that's because we need to, if I look back on the behavior, alrighty, when I'm receiving a message here, you're currently telling it to fire this WebSocket event, but it doesn't know that this server is this one. Because we have this base constructor here, we don't always have to be passing this one. My documentation for this says that I can create it with a default instance in it. Here. So if I look at where this thing is being created down here in the program, not this one. This is my client. If I don't want that one, I want the server. So if you look at where this is being created, which I think is just right here in main, this is just start. Sorry, you have something here called add service, right? This is where you're adding your services. Here. And now it says that I can add this with a default type. Here. You are. You're passing it where you're saying that it's this. Dun 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 dun. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. And this is the... I'm still looking for this one. We want the one that says chat with Naya up here, which is this. It just says that it has a string suffix in here. And there's nothing special about it aside from that. So we're going to try that. Right there. And then here we're going to try test suffix. Like this. See if this thing works. How are you guys doing? If you haven't yet, do me a favor, click that follow. Also, all these videos are up on YouTube, youtube.com/c/leverdevtrain. There it is, it's being assigned, right? It says that this is currently null. Here it is again, and this time it's got null again, and this time it's got test suffix. So we have two instances being created, one of which is null, one of which is not. So if we have one which is null, that means that in your program where you're creating this thing, here, try it again. Darn it. Joined, followed. Oh, I haven't, it's not running at the moment. And I don't have those commands in yet. Test, that looks better. So instead of this now, we're going to try the server again. WebSocket server. And we'll put that in the base class. Oops, not this one. I guess we're already in the base class. We want to go to behavior. And then we'll try that one. Let's rebuild it. Hey, there's Slayer Dars. Welcome back. How are you doing? Serializer. Hayton. Hey, guys. How you doing, man? Welcome back to the channel. If you have any questions, again, same thing. Pop them in the channel. I don't know if you guys have been to the YouTube yet. youtube.com/c/leverdevtrain. And then let me post up a link to the Discord, which is the main way that everyone stays in communication. What'd you make? Wait for it to build. I have a feeling it's going to work now. I don't care about that one, but what I do care is this one here. And now instead of firing an event, we can actually just probably call the, maybe we can, we'll figure it out. Hold on. WebSocket server. Hold on. What is this one coming from? No, that's fine. WebSocket server. That's the other one. So it's this. And then finally this one here. I made a, oh, what is your YouTube? I don't know what that is. Okay, sure. DTube, decentralized service, much like YouTube. I mean, an electron app that parses the XML feed out of the program schedule for the next 10 days for a local station. Oh yeah, I remember you saying about that. I'll put in the title, description, thumbnail, the currently playing program. Awesome, man. Just need to style. You have it as a web app? Let's go ahead and run it. All right, here we go. Whoops, we'll try it again though. All we need to do is just add a message now. And now if we look here at server, it's still null. That sucks. That sucks. Check real quick here. We want to add the service here. And add this new behavior chat. Okay, well, I wonder. I wonder if you could do something like WebSocket services.WebSocket services.last. Wait time, broadcast, asynchronous. No. It just sucks. I hate that I can't inject into it. No, as a desktop app. It's because I'm too lazy to bring up their website. So one more second. We'll find it here. Because I can definitely create this thing to have behaviors, but what I want is to be able to access it from the server. I have the same problem with MessageR, except I can't, or SignalR, except I can do dependency injection into it. It would be a good way for me to get started with Webpack since I'm compiling Sass. Sounds like a good first project, that's for sure. And now here on WebSocket behavior event, I don't think I'm ever firing this event or that it's working. I could just hook this to a public, to a static, and I know that I can do that, but is that what I want to do? Because when you receive a message from the WebSocket server, you also need to send it back out. But when you're doing send a client to all messages in the service, here, if you're broadcasting async, can I also broadcast and include the server? Sessions.inactive IDs keep clean count broadcast a prod ping active IDs sessions dot why you ignore behavior argument and create a new? You mean up here? Hey Tim, how are you doing? You mean up here, this weird thing? Because if I take this out, or if I remove my constructorless parameter, my constructorless object, my parameterless constructor, then it's going to error on me, and it's going to tell me that I need to include a parameterless constructor to satisfy this. And then when you get a connection coming in, it creates a new version of this behavior here. Right here. And this is how I'm supposed to tell it to pass in that parameter. Let's see if it works though. I'll look at this one too. We can get rid of this one. Try it. An add service. Well, you ignore behavior argument. Tim, I think you got it. You're the man, dude. Thank you. I think you got it here. New objects can be used as a statement here. Because it wants to have an initializer here. Hey there, little laners. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. I don't think that's going to work again, but would it work if I added that as a string again? Let's try it just real quick. And then we need to make sure that you have the couture of type B, of type this, of null. Second. Like that. We'll try this one here. Yeah, I didn't think that would work. I'd have to do it as a static, right? Mm-hmm. Where's the documentation? We'll just look one more time. I'm about to move on though. We got that. See here, you can define any behavior. If you use this, it'll call. If you override that, if you'd like to get the sessions, you can use properties. It returns a session broadcast, can be sent to every client in the service. Create a new instance of the WebSocket class. The type of must inherit and must have a public parameterless constructor. We did that. It must inherit WebSocket behavior class. We did that. So it's setting it to port 80, and then it doesn't even say anything more about this one. So let me look over here. I'm going to say WebSocket behavior dependency injection, C#. See if we get anything. We also want to add in WebSocket sharp. I don't know, this looks good. I guess that's not going to work. WebSocket sharp, we're going to say behavior with parameters. C#. Let's just check to see if they've done it in any of these. Because this is the client, which is definitely not. Okay, hold on. If I look here at this one, it says that I'm just creating a WebSocket, which is here. At the top, probably. WebSocket server. You're going to create a new WebSocket server where you're going to pass in that URL. It says it right here. I can just go ahead and do something like WebSocket server.onMessage. Oh no, that's on the client side. Okay, let's check the examples that they have real quick. You need a type parameter when adding a WebSocket service. What do you mean? So this is the one that I wrote. The behavior is a service that needs to be added to the service. It is. It is. This is just a dictionary holding reference to my services, and then it's being added here to this WebSocket service. And it's taking the type of behavior class. And then here I have to pass the initializer. Try this as a tester again. Let's try it again. Because if I'm not able to get this, I mean, it's okay. We can do it with the static, but I really don't want to do that. I guess we could do it with a static event handler. If I did it with a static event handler, that would be the best way. That's the way to do it. So we'll code one of those in right now. Because over here, when we look up here at our server, you didn't even pass it in, did you? You moron. Let's do string server. Dun, 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 dun. So we could definitely do it with a static event handler. That'll do what I want, where it's not going to be dependent on the program. And then we can just only subscribe those events where we need to. And I think that that'll be the easiest thing. Let's try it again. Okay, and if we look at string, it's null. So that's definitely not going to work. So let's go ahead and remove this and this one. And let's go ahead and fix this stuff. We needed to fix over here the behavior, this one too. That looks great, okay? And then back over here inside of your server, you were doing this funny thing here. Now you can get rid of this. I don't understand what the problem is here. Oh, I think you have to do an E that goes to your new behavior chat, like that. Okay. So that's fixed, and now let's do a static event handler. So to do that one, we're going to go down to events. We have something here called a handler, and we're going to make this a public WebSocket event handler, and we want to make this thing a static. So to do that, I'm going to go to the server, and up here we want to have a just a moment. Let's make a new one in here. We're going to say something in here which is a protected static event WebSocket event handler. And we're going to say that we're going to have an object and a sender, and then a base Args and an E. We're going to say this is called Fire WebSocket Event Handler event. So now you're going to say if my, and you need to have your, this is a public static void. You need to have in here a protected static event called static event called a WebSocket event handler, and we're going to call that WebSocket event. You need to have a public static event called WebSocket event handler, WebSocket event, and then you want to do so their step 3 doesn't work anymore on their WebSocket Sharp repo. Yeah, and their documentation is old too. The add services is deprecated. It's in a different place now as well. I don't know. I don't feel like the updates for it are great. I don't like that it's still conforming to 3.5. But I can see how that's a tremendous amount of work to go through and fix that. But the new 4.5 stuff in .NET makes doing WebSockets pretty easy. So we'll just inject our own class later. So here, if my WebSocket, what's wrong here? You can't have this as a protected, so it's a private. This is a public static event. Here you need to have an add, and it's going to be the WebSocket event plus equal to the value. Now what's wrong here? Oh, you're not in a class. Public static, and we want to say class, and we're going to say that this is called my event handlers. And so now if my WebSocket event does not equal to null, then what you want to do is you want to fire it. You're going to do a, oops, they changed the syntax, and again, WebSocket event !invoke, and you want to do this from your object and then this e. Okay, and then here you need to do a remove. Okay, and now that we have that thing completed, when I get my event here in the server, we're going to change this class to be called WebSocket event handlers. Couldn't I just call this thing WebSocket events? Okay, so here now you have this Fire WebSocket event, and you're just going to do this as a WebSocket events dot Fire WebSocket events. Because which ones are you using this? Where are your references here? No references were found. So we can actually remove this one. And let's look up at the behavior. We can probably get rid of this one. And now here, this is going to be a WebSocket events.fire WebSocket event, this and args. You're going to need the same thing here. Here. Probably here. On your on message here, let's change this one so it actually fires here. And then the same thing here. Your args, you want to grab this. Now you have your data that's coming out here, and this is being sent. So we know that this is going to be a false. We know that this one's going to be a true. We know that this one's going to be a sent. This one here is going to be false. It's not binary. Our data raw was going to be like, what do you do here? It's like convert dot. Well, I know that signal R exists. I use that. I guess I could probably still, but I have a hard time connecting to signal R just from strict WebSocket without using more signal R. Convert dot to base 64 string, and we want to pass in my encoding dot UTF-8 dot 2 bytes, and we want to pass in my message so up here we can do this as my var message bytes equals this, and now this one we can do message bytes zero is the offset and message bytes dot length. And this one here will be message. This thing wants bytes, so we could just literally do bytes. Okay. Then we're firing. Let's do this again above for the other one. This is a callback, so we want to fire that in the callback. There's the bytes. This is an asynchronous broadcast message, so it just sends it, and then you're going to fire the event. And then this one needs to go here. No, because see, you're not passing your args back there, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and rebuild. It says that on error doesn't exist, so we're going to do a WebSocket events dot fire WebSocket event. We'll pass that in. This thing says that it doesn't have a constructor that has one argument, so if I look at this, it needs to be a let me look what's wrong here. That one looks fine. And let's look at the chat one again. And we'll rebuild. Now, I actually think this is going to work pretty well. Wait for it to build. Okay, it says that this thing doesn't have anything that takes an argument, which is fine. And now we can actually subscribe our events, and we can do event handler dot, WebSocket event handler. And we just call it WebSocket events dot WebSocket event plus equals to on WebSocket event. All the way at the very bottom of the app, now you can do your that one. Tim says public void add service, new action, so you need init but not create new. If you look at the documentation, Tim, right here, it's showing that you have to have this one, but then you also have to have this one, right? And that's what we were talking about. But then when you create it here, your action actually, you create that new instance with the parameters that you need. But I think this one is just as much a viable solution. By keeping this event in the heap, I don't think it's going to be that big of a change. Actually, it might even help because it's just one event handler now. Okay, let's go ahead and build it. Now we should see all my events fire on the server side too. So here we have something called on WebSocket events. We already have a break on it. Thank you though, Tim. Wait for it to load. Hasn't finished loading yet. There it is. And so now it's firing the event Args in my allie.chat program. WebSocket is connected. Now, at the moment, when we are receiving a message, let's check here. When we're receiving a message, this one says that it's a sent message. We're never firing when we receive one. So here in the behavior, we need to make sure that we have a here. It says this one never is working. This is a sent. So we didn't want that one. We want the one which is the receive. So that actually isn't working down here. Yeah, see that? See that? It's not. You need to add this one here, which goes here. That should solve it. Wait for it to start. Okay, here we go. There it is, message received. This is working. Now we can fire our events and we can grab them into our routing. Makes me think that I almost want to do the same thing with my regular message handler for my TCP messages. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and leave that up to you guys if you think that's something that I should do. If you think that in my regular TCP server, if it would benefit from using static event handlers, or if it's better just to go ahead and assign the event and put it in the stack. So I got to take a quick break. This is a great place to take a quick break since we got our WebSockets implemented. And I think what we're going to go do is we're going to move over and start working on routing. We're going to let this WebSocket server ride. I know that we're going to come in and probably change it using 4.6 in .NET. So if you have any questions, please put them in the channel. We have a really active supporter community. I'll make sure to be floating around the computer a little bit during this break. I'll put 15, 60 minutes up on the clock. And I'll put the links up here to the Discord, which is where everyone stays in communication, and then also the YouTube, and all the videos for this project, as well as from the beginning of this project to now, are all up on that YouTube. So see you guys in just a little bit.